Bonjour, welcome to this new lesson. Today we're going to discover something very useful and important. We're going to discover our two main verbs, être and avoir, which translate the verbs to be and to have. So we're going to begin with the verb to be. Être is the infinitive. If you're not quite familiar with that technical term, it's not that bad. It's just, in a nutshell, a verb that's not used in a sentence. We can put it that way. Or not conjugated, okay? So in the process, we're going to learn the subject pronouns. Here they are in red, except for that one. Je for I, tu, informal for you. So it would be either you're talking to a friend, family member, or a child. Tu. Il for he, elle for she. Nous for we. Vous for you, you sir, you formal. So if you talk to someone you don't know, that would be vous. Il and elle. And as you noticed, I didn't say the S, which make them sound just like il and elle, he or she. Kind of confusing, right? But yeah, that would be from the context that you would know, okay? Interesting. So you know, right, that when you see a word that ends with an E, it's a silent E, okay? We don't say it, it's silent. And same thing with consonants overall in French. A word that ends with a consonant is usually, most of the time, it's a silent consonant, okay? Except we have that concept of liaison. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. But the liaison is pretty much the blending of two words together. And that happens when you have that silent consonant followed by a vowel sound. I say vowel sound because it's really vowels or an H, and H's are silent in French at the beginning of words, and they're usually followed by a vowel. So we say vowel sound or vowel or H, okay? So all those letters that I'm not going to pronounce here, if they're followed by a vowel, we're supposed to connect them together very nicely. We mostly do that when we read. We'll talk about the liaison a little more in a moment. But let me say those conjugations very slowly because I want to make sure that you understand the difference between the way we read those and the way native speakers will pronounce them. Repeat after me, okay? D'accord? Je suis, tu es, il est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils sont, or elles sont. D'accord? So you notice that I made that beautiful liaison here, vous êtes. So here's the deal with the liaison. All right. You've probably heard that what I just said, when a word in French ends with a consonant and the next word begins with a vowel, you have to connect them with what we call the liaison, means the blending of those two words. The thing is that all liaisons were not born equal in French, and that's what people don't mention. But some are absolutely mandatory no matter what, whether you read or whether you have a conversation with a friend, you speak fast, and other liaisons are optional. Meaning people will drop them when they talk and have a conversation, informal conversation, okay? So here's the rule. Subject and verb, those liaisons you have to make, like here, vous êtes. I would never, ever, a native speaker would never skip that liaison, vous êtes, okay? Article followed by a noun. Sometimes it can be an adjective, but a noun. So article and a noun, we have to make those liaisons. We would never skip them, such as, we would never skip those liaisons. Les hommes, les ordinateurs. Les hommes, les ordinateurs. Okay? There you go. But others, the French will skip them when they speak. Okay? We'll go over examples. So, okay. Again, je suis, tu es, il est, elle est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils sont, elles sont. Okay? You'll notice that those silent consonants, I did not pronounce them. Je suis, tu es, il est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils sont. D'accord? Now, this is how I would read that conjugation. Now, this is how I would read this conjugation, okay? Now, here's the deal. In reality, native speakers are not even aware of it, but they're going to blend those words together. And if you ask them, and I've got experience with that because I've talked to many native speakers, a lot of them see my videos on YouTube or on Facebook or elsewhere online, and they say, hey, I don't speak that way. People don't speak that way. That's terrible. What you're teaching them is terrible. And they don't realize that everybody speaks that way. They do. They're not even aware of it because they've never spent a split second to think about it. But they do. We all do. All native speakers blend words together. That's the way it is. Linguists have a name for this. It's really the difference between descriptive speech versus prescriptive speech. Descriptive is really, you analyze the way people talk in a conversation and you say it like it is. That's just the way it is. Versus prescriptive speech, which is what, things should be theoretically in an ideal world where robots talk and read everything slowly and clearly. I would put it more simply. It's really the way you read a sentence versus the way people will blend words together when they speak and they go a little faster. D'accord? And that happens to everyone. Some people will say, oh no, that's bad. It's not bad. That's how people talk, and that's fine. Okay? Anyway, I'm digressing. So here's how it is when people have a conversation. This is the trickiest one that poses the greatest problem to most Anglophones and others who learn French. It's that the French will almost never say je suis. And again, yes, I insist, I am right, that's a fact. I have done studies, others have done studies on that, analyzing how the French speak. And je suis, the French will drop the E and blend those two sounds, consonant sounds together and turn that je into a sh. So they will end up saying suis. Okay, in a conversation, an informal conversation that you have with your friends and family members, people will say suis. That's just the way it is. Someone who's self-conscious, who's not a teacher, will think, oh no, that's terrible. I don't talk that way. They do. Everybody does. You can record anybody in France for a day, a month. They will say that 99% of the time. D'accord? So don't expect people to say je suis. You will almost not hear it. Okay? In spite of what people say. You know, when they're not self-conscious, they will say suis, trust me. Same thing here. Tu es. Remember, theoretically, we're not allowed to have two vowel sounds next to each other. They would be clashing vowels. So the French will naturally drop that U. We're not supposed to. We don't in writing. But in practice, in spoken conversational French, yes, we do. We say te pretty much every time. Most of the time, at least. Te for tu es. Okay? So those are the only contractions that we will make when we speak. This would be a very half-empty lesson to me if I didn't add something very important that I've never really heard in other courses, which is part of the reason why I'm so happy to be making this course. If you leave it at that, I think it would be very misleading. Because here's the deal. This pronoun, nous, is very formal. Okay, I know if you've already taken French before, you will think that this is the way we say oui. Theoretically, yes, but this is a super formal subject pronoun, nous, that the French use. Technically, again, there's been studies, evidence of this, whether people like it or not, that this is used less than 1% of the time in conversational French. Very formal. Most people would not. The only instance in which you will hear it is, you know, when you have politicians who are on TV and, you know, start debating and they want to make sure that they sound really professional and all that, you know. That's about it, okay? Otherwise, people will say on, which is a conversational pronoun, okay? It's not the beautiful French that you want when you write an essay. You will go with nous. But when you have a conversation with friends, anybody, you will say on, and it's fine, okay? Again, the French themselves will say, no, we say nous. They don't. That's a fact. They don't say nous, they will say on every single time. In books, they will teach you that on is one or somebody, but it's really we. Most of them it's we, okay? Anytime we want to say we say on. The trick is that it's a third person singular subject pronoun. So the verb will be conjugated like a third person singular pronoun verb, okay? So we're at the beach would be one is at the beach. And even though it sounds very formal in English to say that, it's completely informal in French. It's conversational French. It's not rude at all. You can say that to anyone. It's fine, okay? So, on est à la plage. We are at the beach. On est français. We're French. Okay? Nous sommes français would be very, very formal, okay? It means the same thing though. Examples. I am happy. Je suis content. If I say it faster, it would be more like je suis content. Je suis content. D'accord? If you were to say, how about you? You would say, et toi? And you? Et toi? Et toi? D'accord? Are you sad? The French would say, you are sad? We'll go over questions in another lesson. But tu es triste? The adjective triste, okay? With an E that is silent. Triste. Tu es triste. And again, if I spoke to a friend, I would drop the U and say, t'es triste? T'es triste? I would say, are you American? T'es américain? T'es américaine? D'accord? Me too would be moi aussi. The word aussi means too, also, or as well. Moi aussi, me too. D'accord? I love this adjective. Disappointed. Déçu. Very useful, isn't it? Déçu. Like Kobe on that picture. Il est déçu. He's disappointed. Il est déçu. And we have that old adjective that I really love. It's completely personal. It's really me. Désappointé. If you want to write very properly in French, feel free to use that one in an essay. I love it. It pertains to literature, really. People don't use it. I will use it just for fun sometimes, just for the sake of it. Désappointé. But really, people will say déçu for disappointed. Il est déçu, he's disappointed. Of course he's disappointed. Bien sûr qu'il est déçu. So of course we say, of course that he's disappointed. It's supposed to be Q-U-E for that, but it's followed by a vowel, so we drop the E. So bien sûr qu'il est déçu. Of course he's disappointed. Other example. Autre exemple. We are sorry. Nous sommes désolés. Désolé is the word for sorry. We don't say the S for the plural, and this sounds like a Z sound. You'll notice in French that an S between two vowel sounds will be pronounced like a Z. Nous sommes désolés. Nous sommes désolés. D'accord? Désolé. Sorry. That's sad. C'est triste. C'est triste. And je suis désolé. Now, how will we say that in conversational French with the on? I'll give you 3-4 seconds to think about it. On est désolé. On est désolé. D'accord? On est désolé. We're sorry. Ça, c'est super formel. That's super formal. Super soutenu. D'accord? Very formal. Pregnant is enceinte. Enceinte. Just like a speaker, like for your phone, for your computer. It's the same word. It's completely random, I have to say. I don't know why it is, but that's the way it is. The same word for speaker and pregnant. Enceinte. Enceinte. So I don't know her. I want to be formal and polite. So I would say, vous êtes enceinte? So just because I'm reading very slowly and nicely, I'm making those two nice liaisons here. Vous êtes enceinte? Vous êtes enceinte? In reality, only that one is mandatory, okay? So if I spoke fast, I would say, vous êtes enceinte? Vous êtes enceinte? And I would not make the second one because it's optional when we speak, okay? Yes, 8 months. Oui, de 8 mois. We say by or of 8 months. Oui, de 8 mois. Remember, 8, we don't say the T. 8 mois. Mois, we don't say the S for month. D'accord? Ensuite, they are late. Ils sont en retard. Again, I'm speaking very slowly, and this is how you want to read it very slowly. Ils sont en retard. Did you hear how I made that beautiful little liaison between the T and the E? That was beautiful, right? Ils sont en retard. Now, here's a little thing that, again, you're not going to hear from other courses, is that in terms of pronunciation, something really important that I'll emphasize throughout my course is that you'll find a lot of French words that have an E without an accent in the middle of the word, mostly in second position of a word. And those E's without an accent are going to be skipped by the French. D'accord? So, for instance, here, ils sont en retard, the French will really drop that E and say, ils sont en retard. I'm completely dropping that E. Ils sont en retard. That's how the French will say it. D'accord? You'll note that even the il plural, I'll drop the L when I speak a little fast. Ils sont en retard. Ils sont en retard. Now, again, you would only know half the story if I didn't tell you the slang expression that the French use at least 50% of the time to say late. And I'm sure you will soon experience the satisfaction of knowing à la bourre. That's slang, but that's what the French say at least 50% of the time when speaking, to say late, à la bourre. Again, you're not going to say that to your mother-in-law, whom you barely know, but you will say en retard. To your boss, you will say en retard, but in an informal way, to friends and family members, you will say à la bourre. D'accord? So you need to know that because the French will use that. Even if you don't, the French will. Okay, and you will miss out on that if you don't know. À la bourre for late. Remember that en retard is really late for an appointment, okay, based on a specific time. But if it's just late in the day, it's going to be tard, okay? En retard is based on the time. Tard is just late during the day. Tard, okay? We'll have a lesson on that at some point. Here's the verb avoir, to have. So here's the infinitive when it's not conjugated, avoir. And you'll notice that the E is dropped from the subject for je, because otherwise we would have clashing vowels. So any verb that begins with a vowel or H, the je will turn into a J apostrophe. So here is the conjugation. I have j'ai, then tu as, il a, elle a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont. I'll say it more slowly and try to repeat after me. J'ai, tu as, il a, elle a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont. Again, that's how I read it when I go slowly, d'accord? You'll notice that we have a liaison that is absolutely mandatory that we have on every one of those. Nous avons, vous avez, ils ont. Those pronouns alone, I would not say the S. Nous, vous, il, elle. Just because they followed by a vowel, I'm pronouncing a Z to connect those two, d'accord? You'll notice that one's pretty tricky. Ils ont, elles ont. There's almost no difference with they are, right? This is they are. Ils sont. That's a solid S sound. Ils sont. And that's ils ont, they have. D'accord? Now, if I spoke fast in a conversation, the only difference you will hear is on the to form. We would drop the you, as you can imagine, and say ta. For you have, do you have a car? You say t'as une voiture. For tu as une voiture, the French would really say t'as une voiture in a conversation. Okay? But let's see some examples. He has a beautiful car. Il a une belle voiture. Il a une belle voiture. That's une voiture, that's a car. I know a lot of my students have struggled over the years to pronounce that word properly. Voiture. I've got that one student who was in front of a mirror for at least 10, 15 minutes, almost cramping. He was going, voiture, trying to throw his lower jaw forward. Voiture, to make that U sound. Voiture. Voiture. Practice at home before you go to bed. Voiture. Now, that being said, we have quite a few other words that we use in slang for a car. And again, that you need to be at least aware of, because if you watch a movie, you have a conversation with native speakers, you will hear that word. And if you don't know it, it'll be frustrating. You will just miss out on something. So here it is. So all these are slang, but this is the most used one, okay? It's slang, but you'll hear it in movies and conversations. Une bagnole. Une bagnole. The other two really are very 80s, I think. You still might encounter people who will use it. But, you know, une caisse, or une tire, une tire. The fourth one is completely ghetto. Some people might think, native speakers might think that I'm being very judgmental, but that's the way it is. I mean, une calèche, come on, it's ghetto. But you might hear it, just in case. Interesting enough, though, because une calèche originally is a horse-drawn carriage. D'accord? Une calèche. So there you go. Il a une belle voiture. Elle est chère, talking about the car, that's why it's feminine. Like she is expensive, we're talking about the car. And we'll go over that in another lesson in French 1, how to choose between it is expensive or she is expensive. But in a nutshell, it's when you just use an adjective, you say he is or she is, even for things. D'accord? Elle est chère, she's expensive, it's expensive. D'accord? Autre exemple. Other example. I have a cell phone. J'ai un portable. Un portable is a cell phone. I see courses where they say un cellulaire, un mobile. I think when the first cell phones came out, we tried all kinds of names like un cellulaire, un mobile, and we ended up sticking to un portable. So I think in some commercials you might hear un mobile or un cellulaire, maybe un mobile, but in conversation people will say un portable, okay? Un portable. Well, that's interesting. So, not talking about the phone itself, just the whole thing. That would be c'est intéressant. And we don't really make a difference between it is, this is, or that is. Okay? C'est. We have a sister. That's conversational French with the on, right? On a une sœur. One has a sister. On a une sœur. You'll see that in French every now and then. You know, there are not that many. We would call that le E dans l'eau, the E and the O. It happens, you know, on a few words, like a not, un nœud, sister, un bœuf for beef. D'accord? Doesn't really matter much, I think. On a une sœur. We have a sister. In formal French, how would you say it? I'll give you 5 seconds at most with the nous. Nous avons une sœur. Nous avons une sœur. That's formal. We have a sister. D'accord? She's super cool. Elle est super cool. We do say that. We have that adjective that we use a lot. I know I do. A lot of people do. Elle est super cool. She's super cool. Elle est géniale. She's great. D'accord? They have 2 dogs. Ils ont 2 chiens. Ils ont 2 chiens. Here, can you hear how I make that liaison with the Z sound, connecting those 2 words? Ils ont 2 chiens. Un chien is a dog. Un kleps is a dog in slang. Un kleps or un clébard. Un clébard. Okay, those two words are slang, but you'll hear them every now and then. Un kleps. It's almost pronounced like a P. Un kleps, un clébard. This is a fur ball. That's how we call a fur ball in French. Une boule de poil, a ball of fur. Une boule de poil. D'accord? Do you like German shepherds? It's interesting how in French we really call a German shepherd a German shepherd. A shepherd is un berger, and German is allemand. Remember there were two tribes in Germany a long time ago, during the Dark Ages. They were the Germans and the Allemands. Okay, so I guess in English you took the tribe German to call the Germans German, and we took the Allemand tribe to call them Allemand and Allemagne for the name of the country. Interesting. Tu aimes les bergers allemands? T'aimes les bergers allemands? See, I would drop that U. That's another lesson, really. Berger allemand, that's what I want to teach you here. Berger allemand is the German shepherd. We just call them the shepherd German. D'accord? Berger allemand. Autre exemple. You have a beautiful watch. Vous avez une belle montre. Une montre is a watch. Une montre. Vous avez une belle montre. I would say vous to him because I don't know him. Okay? So anytime you don't know someone, you want to say, use the formal vous. Vous avez une belle montre. I'm classy, right? Je suis classe, non? If I spoke faster, I would say, je suis classe, non? D'accord? Je suis classe, non? Je suis classe. All right, now, think about this for a second. Just like in Spanish and other Romance languages, we have what we call avoir expressions. So they're expressions or adjectives for which we're going to use nouns instead of adjectives, and we're going to end up using the verb avoir to have instead of to be in English. So look at this and it will make sense. These 9 are by far the most important ones. To be hungry, in French we say to have hunger, avoir faim. So instead of saying I'm hungry, you're going to say I have hunger. To be thirsty is to have thirst, avoir soif. We do say that F. Fin is like the end. F-I-N is the end. Fin is pronounced the same. We don't say the M at all. Fin. To be hot is to have hot. We say avoir chaud. We don't say to have heat. We say really to have hot. That's a weird one. I know. Avoir chaud. We don't say the D and the AU is like an O. To be cold, same thing. Avoir froid. Avoir froid. We don't say the D. To be right, that's to have reason. Avoir raison. Reason is la raison. So we use the noun, avoir raison. To be wrong is avoir tort. In law in the United States, there's the notion of tort, which means that you're wrong. You did something wrong against the law. Avoir tort. To be ashamed is to have shame. The noun shame is honte. The H is completely silent. Honte. Avoir honte. To feel sleepy is avoir sommeil. Avoir sommeil. We don't use that one a whole lot. That's really not the most important one that you need to worry about. The last one, yes, we do use it a lot. There's no other way around it, really. To be scared, well, they're in slang. Avoir peur. Avoir peur. To have fear, literally. Avoir peur. So let's see some examples. I'm hungry would be j'ai faim. I have hunger. J'ai faim. Interesting little joke here. Il faut trouver une solution. So it's, it's the northern hemisphere versus the south hemisphere. They're having a conversation about what to do to fight poverty and hunger in the world. I say, il faut trouver une solution. We have to find a solution. I say, oui, mais laquelle, grand Dieu? Yeah, but great God, so what solution? Sitting on his goal and everything. So there you go. French humor. Tu as soif. Again, if I go fast, I'll say t'as soif. You have thirst. T'as soif. D'accord, boulevard de la soif, boulevard of thirst. T'as soif. Il a chaud, he's hot. Il a chaud. He has hot. Il a chaud. We're cold, nous avons froid. Nous avons froid. We're cold. Nous avons froid. In conversational French, we would say, what do you think? On a froid. One has cold. On a froid. D'accord? We're cold. You're right is vous avez raison. So either talking to several people or one adult whom we don't really know and we have to be formal. Vous avez raison. Okay? You're only going to say the to form to an adult that you know, that you're friends with, or a kid. Okay? Any kid you can say tu, but otherwise it's vous. They're wrong. Ils ont tort. They're wrong. Ils ont tort. Ils ont tort. He's sitting. Il est assis. Il est assis. She's sitting would be elle est assise. If I read it, I'll make the liaison. I say elle est assise. If I said to a friend in a conversation, I will not make that liaison and I will say elle est assise. She's sitting. Il est assis. We don't say the S. Il est assis. D'accord? Little exercise. I'll give you 10 seconds to pause this video and try to fill in the blanks with the right verb and the right conjugation. And when you want to see my answers, hit play and we'll go over them together. Alright, so here we go. Je suis en retard or je suis en retard, that's I'm late. In English you say I'm running late and it doesn't make a difference for us. We would not say I'm running late. We would just say I'm late. Je suis en retard. And remember what we'd say in slang? Je suis à la bourre. Je suis à la bourre, okay? The French will say it in conversational French in slang, okay? A lot. Vous êtes en avance or vous êtes en avance, you're early. Tu es français. T'es français. Are you French? Remember, we don't capitalize nationalities unless they're people, nouns. The French, les Français, that's capitalized. Nous sommes surpris, we are surprised. In conversational French, we would say on est surpris. This is very formal with the nous. They're happy would be ils sont heureux. I will make the liaison when I read ils sont heureux, but when I say it to a friend in a conversation, I'll say ils sont heureux. I will not bother with the liaison. Elle est déçue means she's disappointed. Elle est déçue. J'ai peur, I have fear, for I'm scared. J'ai peur. In slang, the French will even say j'ai les chocottes, j'ai les boules. That's slang, that's for another lesson, okay? But you can keep it in the back of your mind, it can't hurt. Number 8, we didn't go over that one. But yes, you mention your age. We say the years belong to you in French. So you would say, I'm 15 years old. You say, I have 15 years. You have to say years. So, are you 15 years old? Tu as 15 ans. If I say it faster, t'as 15 ans. And yes, I would drop the you if I said faster. But so in a nutshell, we'll go over that in another lesson. But you say how old you are. How old are you? You say what age do you have? Okay. Number 9 is an avoir expression again. It's nous avons faim for we're hungry. We say we have hunger. This is formal. And informal French, conversational French, we say on a faim. One has hunger. On a faim. Number 10 was ils sont jeunes. They're young. Ils sont jeunes. No trick. It's être, like in English. Number 11, again, is an avoir expressions. Vous avez soif. You have thirst. D'accord? Vous avez soif. And the last one, number 12, was il a raison for he's right. We say he has reason. Il a raison. D'accord? That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this little lesson. If you have questions, please post them below. I'd be happy to answer questions. I love questions. If you like this video, please subscribe to this channel to get more. Share this video with your friends. The more the merrier. D'accord? I'll see you soon for another video. À bientôt. Au revoir.